The mystery surrounding Sebastian Sello and his family is just one of the companion side quests that we can choose to do. Not only is the story linked to us actually learning and getting to cast dark magic, it also has a family secret for us to discover. Sebastian seems to believe that learning the dark arts will somehow save his twin sister Annie's life from a terrible curse. But what does he hope to actually find going down the path of the dark arts? Maybe a potion or a spell? First, we would have to think about what the curse even is, because the cure would have to depend on that. So let's get into it. Werewolf. This is a magical illness that is known to be spread between saliva and blood, usually by a bite. If Annie was bitten by a werewolf, it would have had to been at a young age, since she's only a 5th year like her brother Sebastian, though I'm pretty sure she doesn't actually attend Hogwarts, but I'll get into that later. The days leading up to the full moon would leave her paler and of ill health, not to mention the self-inflicted wounds and premature aging the transformation would cause. Assuming, of course, her father doesn't let her go rampant. If Sebastian was somehow responsible for her affliction, or at least felt like he was, that could explain the want or need to find a cure for her. But could he actually find a cure for lycanthrope in the dark arts? Right now, there's only 2 known things that could help. Wolfsbane potion. This allowed the werewolf to keep their human consciousness when transformed. 3 problems with this one. It's not a cure, this wasn't invented until the mid-1970s, and it has nothing to do with the dark arts. Homorpheus charm. Could supposedly be used to permanently transform a werewolf back to their human form. Unfortunately, this information was given to us by Lockhart, so it's extremely unreliable. There could be some truth behind it, since most of his stories did come from accomplished wizards and witches. Still, the only confirmed use of the spell in a werewolf was from the Hogwarts mystery game, and it only temporarily transformed them back to their human form. And I'm pretty sure this isn't considered dark magic either. Annie being a werewolf isn't completely out of the realm of possibilities, but I'm not entirely sure if lycanthrope is considered a curse. But somebody with this illness could refer to it as one, I'm sure. Still, I think there are better options for what she is actually cursed with. Obscurial. This was a young witch or wizard who had developed a parasitical magical force as a result of their magic being suppressed, either through psychological or physical abuse. Obscurials were more common in the 16 to 1700s when witches and wizards were actively hunted by muggles, and children were forced to suppress their magic. Since Sebastian and their possible father had been seen using magic, Annie would have most likely had her own personal encounter that would have made her stop using her powers. Like Dumbledore's sister Ariana, who went through a tragic incident with 3 muggle boys and afterwards refused to use her magic. As far as finding a cure for this magical force, it would be pretty tricky. Obscurists can't survive outside of their hosts, so the only way to get rid of it would be to separate them. Newt Scamander is the only known wizard to successfully separate the host from the parasite. While he was studying in Africa, he came across an 8-year-old that had been severely abused. He did manage to separate the little girl from the Obscurus. Unfortunately, she didn't survive. There was no further detail about how Scamander was able to do it. Could it be possible that Sebastian found the same spell in the dark arts? Maybe. But if Annie was an Obscurial, she would be one of the oldest ones known to the wizarding world, being about 16 years old. Generally, you wouldn't live past the age of 10. Of course, it's not unheard of. Ariana Dumbledore died at the age of 14, and that wasn't even because of the Obscurus. And then there's Credence, who was about 18 years old when he was first discovered. But these are extremely rare cases, and again, I'm not really sure if this could be classified as a curse specifically. Blood malediction. A curse that could resurface in the victim's descendants. I really tried to find out if being a maledictus like Nagini was the same as having a blood malediction, and honestly I couldn't find a clear answer. I think because the description of a blood malediction is so vague, there are probably different types of curses that could be passed down. A maledictus was specifically a female who carried a blood curse that eventually turned her into a beast permanently. Now Astaria Malfoy, Draco Malfoy's wife, also had a blood curse, but this one left her more frail with an early death. With Annie, I think she would have a blood malediction that is more like Astaria Malfoy, because of the short cutscene we saw of her. She looked more ill and aged, and the voiceover from the Sebastian Sello video sounded exhausted and just not well.
You've made your choice.
The dark arts might actually be able to help Annie in this scenario though. Horcrux. An object a dark witch or wizard had hidden a fragment of his or her soul in order to become immortal. This probably would have been a good option for Annie. Unfortunately, Horcruxes can only be created after committing a murder in order to tear apart the soul. So in this case, Annie would have to be the one to go down the dark path and not Sebastian. Rudimentary body potion. Used to or used in combination with other magic to create a rudimentary body that can be inhabited by a non-corporeal wizard. If there was some way to cause Annie to become non-corporeal without the use of a Horcrux, then this potion, along with the next potion, might work. Regeneration potion. This was described by Lord Voldemort as being an old piece of dark magic. A bone from the father, unknowingly given, flesh from a servant, willingly given, and blood from an enemy of the one for whom it was intended. This potion would then create a new body for the witch or wizard. They possibly would have to be in a rudimentary body first, but that isn't confirmed. At this point, we're just going off of what Voldemort did to regain his own body, so I think there would be some wiggle room for the game designers to work with. In any case, whether Annie is a werewolf, an Obscurial, or has a blood malediction, I'm almost certain she doesn't actually attend Hogwarts. When we're introduced to any other student, they're always in their school robes, but Annie wasn't. The family might be keeping her a secret. I have a feeling we won't even find out that Sebastian has a sister, let alone a twin sister, in-game until we develop a stronger friendship with him. The reason could make sense for the first two curses that we discussed. Lycanthrope, because of the prejudice against werewolves, and Obscurial, because of how dangerous and unpredictable they can be. But why would they want to keep her a secret because of a blood curse? Unless having this specific blood curse would somehow identify who their family ancestors really were. But that's just a theory. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and as always, thank you so much for watching.